Hello everyone. I hope you guys are having a great day. So, for today's video, we are going to be continuing our series of learning and explore chess openings. And hopefully, we can finally get a game as white because all of my games so far has been black. Okay, we finally get a game as white. So, let's try to play the London system. This is not something that I actually really like. Yeah, you see, it's funny because every time this is why I kind of stop playing the London. I just get this like every time, and I'm like, what? Like Black just tries to equalize stuff right away, so which is like boring. Uh, yeah, boring. In fact, so A3. I was planning to play C4, but then there's Queen C4. Actually, no, C4 is trade pawns and then Queen B4. So I didn't like that, so I just play A3. And now I'm gonna play C4 next. C6, C4, capture, B6. That's a weird move. I mean, why would you play B6 and C6? Now, here we have a lot of ways to play this. We could just play Queen C2. Because here, the thing is, our files are actually open. The A file is open, so we actually don't have to castle king side. Like the rook is gonna be pretty strong here. Knight f3 makes sense. So we could play knight e5, we also don't have to. Bishop knight bd2, and now here comes the question of where do I want to put this bishop? So I could play bishop a2, going back to bishop b1. That's a faster way to put it. Because if I play bishop d3, that kind of locks off our way to play for like a little bit. So we could also play e4, e5. It's another way to do this. But let's play bishop a2, a sensible move. The thing I actually don't only thing I don't like about this move is bishop a6, which stops us from castles. So I'm gonna play rook d1. Oh, sure. This shows that we won't castle on the queen side, because and I mean also we castle will be not that great per se, but it somewhat discourages black to play c5 because eventually black will play c5. Okay, knight bd7. So black is really delaying castle here, which I kind of don't like. So I'm gonna play um, bishop a2 now. I think if bishop a6 here, I'm just gonna play knight c4, and since there's no pawn on d5, man, I could just sit there. Just sit here for a little bit. And if b5 is played, then well, that's just a weakening move. Yeah, so bishop a6, we don't really mind. Matter of fact. Um, we can just play knight c4, and we can just trade this off. So because ideally I actually don't want to play e4. Um, since I want to actually keep this rook on this file, you see how black is also delaying castle because they. Oh, whoa. Okay, I was not expecting that move at all. But castle king's queen side. Um, Now the question is, do we play bishop a6 or not? Seems like a free move, but it's also not. I think we're going to play it, and then we're gonna castle. Now that our we know what our opponent is committing, right? We don't have to keep this file open anymore. Like keep our rook here at the open file anymore. King to a8. So okay, that doesn't blunder a pawn accessory. So knight, so rook c1, we're gonna face knight to b8, which is the annoying part. But I think here we are going to be fine. If knight b8, we actually have queen a4 here. Ideally, I actually want to keep the bishop here because it's restricting this quite a bit. So let's play queen a4. If they capture, it's just gonna capture. And what knight b8 does is leave the e5 square open for our knight. So unless our opponent decide to play knight fd7, right, then we're just gonna play knight e5 and it's going to be better. See, and our opponent doesn't play it, so we just gonna play knight e5. And here I think we are already winning. If we because black, first of all, black doesn't have an extra way to protect that. Okay, so we have b5. This makes sense, of course. First of all, we are double attacking on this. So this, this is probably the best way to kind of do this. We can maybe sacrifice the bishop, but I don't think it's worth to go for. Why should we go for it when we are clearly having an attack, very nice attack without actually having to sacrifice anything? So let's play queen a5. And now our opponent has to waste a move. Probably gonna be rook hf8 to protect. Oh. Knight. What? Oh, okay. I see where this is going. Our bishop is trapped. So our bishop is trapped. Okay, so this is leading into a very interesting situation. We probably have to play a rook versus two minor pieces. However, the two minor pieces are the knights. So this could lead into an interesting position where so we're definitely going to capture this rook because we don't want our knight to be trapped. If we capture this now here, if we capture on d8, our opponent will actually be able to capture actually not with this knight, and this knight is actually trapped. So we want to get something for it. So we're gonna capture this, and the knight takes b5, and now it's two knights versus two knights for a rook and two pawns. However, you look at this, I would actually much prefer white here because, I mean, this knight is very bad. This knight is also not good. So now there's a question of whether rook c5 or rook c4 is a sensible question. Rook c4 actually runs into knight d6, which I really want to just discard immediately. I just really like the look of rook to c5 here. And just stacking the rooks on the file. Oh yeah, but okay, knight d6 does the same thing. Oops. Even worse, we just lose we'll just lose like the rook back, which is not good. Okay, so in that case, in that case, let's go queen to a4. Queen to b7. So queen to, I think with queen to b7, we are going to just play b4, advancing our pawns. And since our opponent didn't play knight b7, what we can do is to play rook to a5. And you can see, like, even though black has two knights, in terms of activity, our rooks are actually better because this knight is now being stuck here, trying to protect this isolated c6 pawn, and this knight isn't actually doing too much because we have all the pawns in the world that black actually can't attack. So knight back to b5. Well, in that case, why don't we just add some pressure onto c6 and still making sure that there's no knight to d7 stuff happening. Also, now with the two pawns that we have, we can start pushing and try to bust open the king, because if you look at the king here, it's not really safe. Okay, so we have a6. Very interesting decision by our opponent, because technically a6 is weaker than a6. a6 is a very weakening move, because all we have to do is being able to push to b5, and well, and keep in mind, before our queen was on a5, it's actually the square that I wanted to stay, but now doesn't really do the same. But now I can actually go back because the queen is now on b7, so there's no knight d6, knight b7. Plus, even if there is, it will take too long. Now, are we afraid of counter attacks? Not quite. I mean, we just play f3 and everything's fine. So let's just play queen at a5. And again, this knight can't move. What is this knight doing? Very weird. So now, as long as we're able to play a4 and b5, I think we're gonna have some sort of attack going on here. I mean, even just open up the a file will help us tremendously. I do have to calculate a little bit, because I think even if like say black plays rook f8, a4, knight d6, I don't think b5 is sensible here. Okay, king a7. That is actually not a good move at all. Because now when the king and the queen is aligned and we have the stack rooks here, we can totally look at the c7 pawn, c7 square, and now we can confidently play a4, because after b5, not only this a pawn is being pinned absolutely, but this pawn is also relatively pinned due to the fact that there's a pin going on here. So b5, and at this point, if our opponent wants to trade queens, it's a little bit too late. I think maybe here, instead of a6, actually, yeah, our opponent could have tried to play queen b6, or at least add some defense to c6 pawn. But yeah, now this, now do we actually want to trade queens? We don't really have to. Actually, it's actually a little bit hard question here. Maybe we'll play queen b4. We'll play queen b4. We can't really capture it anymore. Okay, I don't have much time here, and this is actually not a clear position. So I think we are going to take. We're definitely still better after this as a whole. But I'm not really liking this, so maybe we could have played a5, b6. Okay. Actually, since that we can play rook here first, and then we play this king there, and we can play rook to c2, preventing any of this stuff. Knight c6 doesn't work because we just take the pawn and the knight is still pinned. I think we can win this in 30 seconds. I think rook g8, well, rook g8 is a maybe. Actually, we probably can just play rook to a7, go followed by c7 and rook a8. Yeah, we can just do that. What can... There's nothing that black can really do because this king is so bad, and this rook is also not really in the game at all. So, see, we can pretty much free move c7. Unless our opponent plays rook a7, in which case, well... Actually, rook a7, we can still play c7 because... Just play c7. And it's pretty much a one game for us. I mean, rook take now that I look at it, rook takes f2 is a bit... It's very annoying, actually. Well, we can definitely collect all the pawns because the king is so bad. The king is being cut off by the rook. And there's nothing we can... Yeah, we just play this. Yeah, and our opponent makes it easy for us by playing knight d7 because in fact the best move is actually to not move this knight and actually take on f2 is a very good practical try. But now, well, there are still some practical try, but this is much easier to play now than... And now look at this king. I mean, we can actually play a5 and rook c7, and black can't stop both threats of a5 and or losing the knight. We just play a5. Oh wait. Oh, they miss it. Okay. Well, they just trying to flag us, so we definitely have to be careful here. That was not very good by us, but our opponent missed it. Yeah, we actually could flag if yeah, we could flag if we lose that rook there. But now we still have checkmate threat with all this stuff. This is getting spicy. We have to be focused here regardless. This is an unfortunate part of playing 10-0. However, you know, okay, let's just play that. We will not think twice about it. Okay, let's just play this. King is on the mating net, so we can just do this and then pre-move. And we get a win. Okay. So we get a London system here, right? And this is probably one of the best way to just neutralize in the London system. This is definitely not the best move, the best variation to play, but it's very practical, and pretty much anyone can just play this. However, I mean, after this, like the thing with a lot of players that they just take on g3, and well, if you look at this, suddenly our rooks become so much more active because h5 is open and we have options that we don't even have to castle. And like in fact, you know, we with the rook here we could actually just manual castle by moving king f1 to king g1, and our rook is still going to be active if our opponent decided castle on the king side. However, that didn't happen, so queen there. Okay, so I guess c4 is still a good move. a3 is still fine. Queen d6 is how do I describe it? It's not a very good move because it doesn't develop any pieces. It develops a queen, but bringing out a queen this early, what does it really do, right? So I just play a3, just stopping all the crap here because you play c4 and takes, you actually can't take the bishop. Yeah, and knight c3 of course is fine, but why run into all these complications when you don't have to? When there are moves that are still as good or even better, because here you can't take. Because oh wait, you can. Oh, queen b4, yeah, but now here queen b4, sacrifice a pawn. But again, we're not here to do that. If we're playing the London system, we're not here to sacrifice pawn. We're not playing Queen's Gambit. So no reason to do that. Just play a3. And then here we just play c4. And now if it takes, which they did, right? We're just straight up better. And there's nothing going on for black because our pawn structure is great, right? Our rook is active. And look at the pawn structure. Black pawn structure is fine, but look at the pieces. They're not really developed. We're already ahead. So here, queen c2. I mean, just being tricky, and yeah, in fact, our opponent can just play knight f6, and they got scared and play h6, which is totally fine. We just normal development here. I think here we can skip through quite a bit. Okay, here's, I guess, not the best move by me. But in a practical standpoint, again, just making this trade is fine. Of course, like, it likes e4 and all that stuff, but again, from a practical standpoint, if you look at this position, would you rather stop this so you can castle at any point, or are you gonna bust open the center so that you can eventually win something, but your king is kind of in danger. Of course, an engine will tell you that, oh, you can play this out. Well, yes, but in a rapid game, especially with no increment, then there's no point pretty much. So why is this a blunder? Actually, I didn't look at this move very carefully. But apparently this is not a good move. It still yells at e4, and my intuition does say that e4 is a good move. However, how's it here? Okay, I definitely don't see this sack. That's crazy. Okay, so let's just play this and sack a piece straight up, and it works. Okay, well I guess I just don't know. So, but our opponent just trying to stop us from castle for absolutely no reason, and I don't know why our opponent castle on the queen side. I mean, you can't see what happened because tucking out bishop here is good. Like, you're running the risk of the bishop getting trapped, but in return, you're restricting a lot of black pieces currently. Like, this rook is restricted, and now the king, and also the king has to be put in some places that it doesn't want, right? So king b8 has to be played. I mean, king c7, that's just a super risky move. So king b8. And then we could play rook c1. I was thinking a little bit about it, but black would go crazy with this, which is why I didn't like, because I didn't like taking this. Yeah, and taking is, this is why I didn't like it, because take is not good. However, you don't take, you just play b4, and of course I didn't see this part. Why would I? I mean, how even yells at this, and I'm like, and yeah, you can't take this. You can't take that because this is checkmate. So prompts to the engine. We are not engine, so we are playing practical moves. If you see that c5 doesn't work, and you see that after c5 and you don't find b4, you don't like it, just don't play it. No reason to. But I guess this is, yeah, but I guess here it goes to what we want compared to this position where we castle right away. There's this, and knight b8 is play. But again, I think we are still pretty much better here. Knight b8, queen a4. I wasn't sure if I want to move the bishop back, so I didn't. Like if I was gonna move, probably bishop d3 would be my move, right? And then after knight d5, knight to e5. I guess now there's no threats on the bishop, so we're fine. So that's fair. But we play queen a4 trying to keep the pressure on, and it's actually not the greatest because yeah, after takes, we the queen is kind of stuck here because not because it is, but what I would do is I would try to keep it here so that black can never play b5, but then actually black can just play rook c8, and things are like fine for black, sort of course. But knight d5 was a little bit inaccurate, and yep, knight e5 was bad because of b5, and this is what I miss. Apparently, this is not even the best move. Oh, the best move was trade because, again, this is trapped. So takes, knight takes, and this is much better for black to play the endgame out instead of what happened in the game. Black basically hold on to all the pieces for too long when black is the one that is defending. So yeah. So queen d7, which just takes, rook takes. And the difference is when we are attacking, right? An extra queen will do a lot for us. So yeah. So basically, if you imagine this position, like basically it was this, right? It was this. Nope, we don't want that. Basically this, and it's the same thing, but without the queens. The rooks are still active. Sure, we still have, and it's technically equal material, so we have some sort of compensation. But it's an end game, and it's much easier for black to try to draw this instead of, we have a queen and we can still keep the attack going. So knight takes, and we play rook c5. I thought it was a bad move, but it turns out it isn't. So rook c4, knight d6. I guess if rook a4 is not really scary at all because yeah, what are we doing? Like we just waste 2 moves trying to stack on the a file when the queen just protects it. So rook c5 is a much better move. Knight d6, we just play queen a4. Again, if knight to b7, we just play rook e5 here. And the problem here is that black has way too many weaknesses to play, and the queen is you look at queen activity, our queen is much better because the queen is attacking, and it's much more active. But this queen has to protect these 2 weak pawns for no reason. So, and the knight has to be stuck here. So in terms of piece activity, we're definitely a lot better. So queen a4, queen b7. We just played a natural move b4. I mean, there's literally no reason for us to give up this pawn. Obviously, we can because, yeah. I did not think of rook c6 in the first place because we can't take. Black can't take this. Yeah, knight b7. That's not a move. We don't want to look at that. So, oh, that's a check. And okay, yeah, you get back 2 knights and you up a clean. You up no, not 1 pawn. You have 2 pawns and your king is completely safe. And your rook and your queen is about to just murder this king. So, yeah. But okay, we just play b4. Just pushing the pawns up and try to start breaking through this. Knight b5. I think our opponent here is just very confused and not really know what to do. I mean, if it's me here, I would try to at least add some sort of defense against a rook against a pawn, which I don't think is good either. But or at least trying to counter attack over here or something. But knight b5 just doesn't do anything, purely because it doesn't, how do I say it? Like, it doesn't attack anything. It doesn't do anything that helps. Sure, you can talk about knight c7, knight a6, but why maneuver so many moves while white just improve their position like every single move? What you're doing, knight b5, is like, okay, you just don't know where to put the knight, so just moving the knight around. So knight b5, rook, we just go rook c1. Nope, rook d8 was not what happened. I accidentally pressed the engine. So a6. I mean, again, a6 is just a bad move because, sure, it looks like it's safer for the knight to defend this. However, the problem is the b5 square because the king is on the same file. So the grip here actually does not help. So a6 is just like a waste of move. It's a waste of move and it's a weakening move. So queen a5, and here like knight c7 or knight a7 has to be played. Allowing a4 with tempo just doesn't help at all. Like knight, I mean, I guess I was looking at knight c7 because of protect this, but still a4 is just completely winning, right? Or knight a7 blocks off this, but well, it blocks off kind of, right? And maybe, oh sure, it allows knight d7, but so what? Like b5 is still a thing. And you go rook b8, well, still pushing, because you look at this position, all the black pawns are so bad, like it's so isolated that once this is open, the white rooks can just start coming in and collect all the pawns. Whereas you look at white pawn structure, right? This is very solid. The king is completely safe. Nothing is attacking it. Then there's no rule, and then white can definitely sacrifice a pawn, like in the because also white is up 2 pawns, so here, okay. So king a7, I mean, that just leads to like a quicker defeat. So b5, queen b6. Okay, so queen takes was the best move. Actually, I could have taken here, but well, if we take it here and allow 3 queens, we'll might as well just take it because the stacking rooks protecting this is still better, right? So we take and take here. So so I was thinking about rook takes c6, but you know what the problem is? The problem is I thought that this b5 pawn was not protected. So here was what happens. So I thought here, because the thing is, if the pawn is protected, we win. But I somehow thought that I don't have the a4 pawn. Like the a4, I thought the a4 pawn just gone. So like I thought king takes b5 is the thing. But white can still protect that and just take the knight. And yeah, this is just completely winning. Well, because like it's 6-3. Obviously, I will win this. Like I can definitely win this in 30 seconds. No problem, because you just start pushing the center pawns off the board, and black can't really do anything. So you can try all you want, but yeah, I play a little bit more. Play the second best move, which is a little bit harder to play. Like because in this position, it requires me to play more accurately. So, but knight e4, I mean, that just allows tempo to tempo. And then for some reason, king c8 is played instead of king d6. I mean, but king d6 again. There's c7. So I guess black didn't want that to happen. And we just play rook c2. Again, always put the rook where it's diagonally to the knight, because the knight will take 4 squares in order to be on that same square where the rook is. And here again, knight c6 is not a thing because we just take on g7, and the king can't come to the 7th rank. So this knight is just essentially gone, and we're just gonna be up in a clean exchange, and these pawns are gonna be gone, like gone. So g5, by our opponent, just not trying to not lose a pawn. But rook a7, simply just preparing this. Rook f8 and c7. Now here, white, I was looking at a very practical try with rook takes f2. Oh, okay. So just that's what happens. Just go here and not care. Just sack. You sack the rook because you guarantee a queen. Yeah, I didn't somehow didn't look at that. Maybe if rook takes f2 happened, I might play rook a8. But in the span of 20 seconds, I might not be able to find it. Because I look at this, right, and sure, this is still completely winning. This is still completely winning. Like, because like you look at this and how is black going to protect all the pawns? This knight e4 takes 6, and well, just push a pawn off the board, and these two pawns are not going to do anything. But I think this I might not be able to win within like 17 seconds. So because I'm not Danya or I'm not any good and fast players. But okay, our opponent didn't go for it. Just knight d7 and becomes very easy for us. And I think here we just have a win. We're not gonna look anything after that, because that's just like kind of bulleting it out and try to get a mate. So yeah, I think we finally get a London system, and we didn't really do anything in the opening, right? We just played through like the first 8 to 9 moves very quickly, and we don't even have to know theory. We just play d4, bishop f4, and when just play simple chess, just develop pieces and get a winning position. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.